If you are snacking between meals, that is why your belly fat is not moving. Not too many calories. Not too little exercise. Your insulin never gets low enough for fat burning to happen. Stop the snacking. Watch what follows. Drop a comment right now. How many times do you eat between meals on a typical day? What happens when you snack? Here is the biology most people never get explained clearly. Fat burning has one requirement. Insulin must be low. Insulin is the only hormone in your body that directly tells fat cells to stay locked and hold everything in. When insulin is elevated, fat cells do not release stored fat. Not a little. Not at all. After every meal, insulin rises to clear glucose from your bloodstream. That spike is normal and necessary. But insulin does not stay elevated forever. Given enough time, it falls. 2 to 3 hours after a moderate meal, insulin drops low enough that fat cells begin opening. Fatty acids release into your bloodstream. Your body starts burning stored fat as fuel. This is the window. The fat-burning window. It opens naturally between meals when you leave it alone. Here is what snacking does to that window. You eat lunch at noon. Insulin spikes. By 1:30 p.m., insulin is beginning its descent. By 2 p.m., you grab a granola bar because you are a little hungry, or just because it is there. Insulin spikes again. The window that was opening slams shut. By 3 p.m., insulin is descending again. You have a handful of nuts from the jar on your desk. Insulin spikes again. By the time you eat dinner, your insulin has not been genuinely low since before lunch. Fat-burning mode was never activated during the entire afternoon. You were in fat storage mode continuously from noon until evening. And here's the part that makes this especially frustrating. It does not matter what the snack was. Fruit spikes insulin, nuts spike insulin. Yogurt spikes insulin. A protein bar spikes insulin. Not as sharply as candy or chips, but enough to reset the clock. Enough to close the window before it can do its work. A study published in Cell Metabolism found that continuous snacking throughout the day maintained elevated insulin levels and suppressed fat oxidation compared to the same total calories consumed in defined meals with clear gaps between them. Same calories. Snacking pattern versus meal pattern. Fat oxidation was measurably suppressed in the snacking group. The food was identical. The timing was the variable. Here is what this looks like across a typical day for most people. Breakfast at 8 a.m., insulin spike. Coffee with a biscuit at 10 a.m., insulin reset. Lunch at 12:30, insulin spike. Granola bar at 2:30, insulin reset. Handful of nuts at 4:30, insulin reset. Dinner at 7 p.m., insulin spike. From 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., there is not a single 2-hour window where insulin was genuinely low. Fat-burning mode never activated. Not once the entire day. And this is happening to most people who believe they are eating reasonably healthily, because most of those snacks were reasonably healthy. The problem was never the snack. It was the timing. What happens when you stop here is what changes inside your body when you stop snacking between meals. Days 1 to 3. For the first time in months, possibly years, insulin has uninterrupted time to fall between your meals. 2 hours after lunch, insulin drops below the threshold where fat cells begin opening. Fatty acids release into your bloodstream. Your body begins pulling energy from stored fat instead of waiting for the next snack to arrive. You may feel more hungry than usual during these first days. That is not a sign something is wrong. It is a sign your body is not used to running on fat stores between meals. It has been conditioned to wait for incoming glucose from snacks. When the snack does not arrive, it takes a few days to shift to accessing fat for fuel instead. This adjustment passes within 3 to 5 days for most people. Days 4 to 7. Something changes in how hunger feels. The frantic, urgent hunger that used to hit 90 minutes after eating begins to soften. Instead of a sharp, demanding signal, hunger becomes a quieter awareness. Here is the mechanism. When your body learns that no snack is coming, it adapts. It becomes more efficient at mobilizing and burning stored fat between meals. It uses that fat as a bridge between meals rather than demanding immediate glucose from outside. Your liver increases its output of fat-derived ketones as a secondary fuel source. Your brain, which can run efficiently on ketones, begins receiving a cleaner and more stable energy supply. The afternoon energy crash that used to drive you toward the snack cupboard flattens considerably. A study published in Obesity Reviews found that allowing defined intermeal intervals without snacking improved fat oxidation rates and meaningfully reduced appetite between meals within 1 week of consistent practice. 1 week. Days 8 to 14. By the second week, something measurable is happening at the cellular level. When insulin is consistently lower between meals, your cells begin regaining their sensitivity to it. Think about what insulin resistance actually means. Your cells stopped responding efficiently to insulin signals, so your body produced more insulin to compensate. More insulin circulating meant a stronger and more persistent fat storage signal throughout the day. When insulin consistently has time to fall between meals, your cells start responding to smaller amounts of it again. The same meal produces a lower insulin spike in week 2 than it did in week 1. A positive cycle begins. Less snacking leads to lower intermeal insulin, which leads to improved insulin sensitivity, which leads to less insulin required per meal, which leads to more time in fat burning mode each day. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that meal spacing without snacking improved insulin sensitivity markers significantly within 2 weeks in adults who had previously been eating continuously throughout the day. Days 15 to 30. This is when the outside begins reflecting what has been changing inside. Visceral fat, the fat surrounding your organs inside your abdominal cavity, is the most metabolically responsive fat in your body. It has the highest density of receptors for the hormones that control fat release. When those hormones are allowed to work because insulin is consistently lower, visceral fat responds first. Your belly begins to feel different before the scale shows dramatic change. Less hard, less protrusive, less pressure. Clothes fit differently around the waist. David stopped snacking for 3 weeks. He did not change what he ate at his main meals. He did not add exercise. He removed the granola bars and the afternoon nuts and the evening crackers, and nothing else. His waist measurement decreased by 3.5 centimeters in 21 days. His scale weight moved by just over 1 kilogram. The discrepancy between the two numbers tells the story. Visceral fat was responding faster than total body weight suggested. Appetite also shifted measurably. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, began following a more rational pattern, rising meaningfully before meals, falling clearly after them. Hunger became useful information rather than constant background noise. By day 30, most people report that they are simply not as hungry between meals as they used to be. Not because they are suppressing hunger through willpower, because their hormonal system has relearned how to use fat stores as fuel between meals, the way it was designed to work before continuous snacking disrupted that ability. 1 rule: nothing between meals except water, black coffee, and unsweetened tea. That is the entire protocol. No tracking, no counting, no complicated food rules. Just protect the gaps between your meals. How to start. Do not try to cut all snacking on day 1. The adjustment is easier when done progressively. Week 1, remove the afternoon snack. This is usually the largest and most habitual. Replace it with a large glass of water and wait 15 minutes. Most of the time, the craving passes. Week 2, remove the morning snack. Apply the same water and weight strategy. Week 3, 3 defined meals with no food between them. By week 3, the biological adaptation has begun, and the process becomes self-reinforcing. Your body is accessing fat between meals. The urgent hunger that drove you to snack has reduced. How to handle hunger between meals. When hunger appears between meals, run this sequence before eating anything. First, drink a large glass of water and wait 15 minutes. A meaningful percentage of between-meal hunger is mild dehydration, misread as food craving. Rehydration resolves it without any food. Second, if hunger persists after water. And 15 minutes, ask one question. Did your last meal contain at least 25 to 30 grams of protein? If the answer is no, the hunger is real, and your meal was underbuilt. The solution is not to snack now, but to add more protein at your next main meal. If the answer is yes, and hunger is still present but manageable, it is your body in the early stages of transitioning to fat burning between meals. It passes within days. Environment design. Willpower is not a reliable strategy for this. Environment is. Remove snack foods from your immediate visual field at home and at work. What you cannot see easily, you do not reach for automatically. Do not keep snack foods on your desk or on kitchen counters where they are in constant sight. If you share a household with people who snack, keep your own food in a specific location that requires a deliberate decision to access. The goal is to make snacking a conscious choice rather than an automatic reflex. When it requires a decision, most of the time you will not make it. Here is the complete picture. Every time you snack between meals, insulin resets to elevated. The fat-burning window that was opening closes immediately. Your body stays in fat storage mode for the entire gap between meals. This happens regardless of what the snack was. Healthy snacks close the window too. The problem is never the snack. It was the timing. When you stop snacking, insulin has time to fall between meals. Fat cells open and begin releasing stored fat as fuel. Your body relearns how to use its own fat stores between meals. Visceral fat, the most dangerous and most responsive fat, begins decreasing first. Insulin sensitivity improves, making the process self-reinforcing over time. What you do not eat between meals matters more than what you eat at them. That is not a motivational statement. It is the biology. The window between your meals is where fat burning lives. Protect it. Start today. After your next meal, protect the gap until the following one. No snacks, water, coffee, tea. That is it. Come back in 30 days and tell me what changed. Which part of this surprised you most? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. If this changed how you think about what happens between your meals, subscribe to What Science Reveals. Real science explained clearly every single week. And if you want to see how eating protein first and stopping eating after 7 p.m. connect to everything we covered today, those videos are right here. Together they form one complete eating system. See you in the next one.